Okay, it's Sunday again, and once more we have a battle lined up. This time it's meeting engagement, 2,500 points. It's Orcs and Goblins again versus size new Daemons. So after my humiliating defeat last time, I decided to bring out the Orcs again for another crack at these horrible old Daemons. So list is slightly different, just cycling through some chat stuff, just try some other things out. But fundamentally, it's mainly the three big blocks that I really like. So I'll run through my army. We have a Rock Lobber, another Rock Lobber, a level 2 Night Goblin Shaman, a Wolf Chariot, Boar Chariot, 38 Black Orcs with my War Boss General. Then we have the level 4 Savage Orc Shaman with Shrunken Head. That's the item. He hasn't actually got a Shrunken Head, although he probably will after this game, after he gets sucked into the void again. Then we've got a Black Orc BSB, 38 Savages, big uns, 5 Wolf Riders, a Spear Chucker, Mangler Squig. Then in reserve we have 45 Night Goblins with nets, Doom Diver, another Spear Chucker. Then for my spells I got, you can see those, Foot of Gork, Headbutt, Brainburster, Hand of Gork. And then for my level 2 I've got Vindictive Glare and Itchy Nuisance. Sorry, I haven't got Itchy Nuisance. I've got, God, what was it? I can't remember. I picked up Itchy Nuisance, but it wasn't actually Itchy Nuisance, it was the 2, so I'll have to change that. Just wishful thinking, I guess. And that's it. So I'll hand you over to Si, see what he's got. I did actually roll to try and seize the initiative, but I actually failed by rolling a 1, so that won't be happening. So hand you over to Si.
Okay, I'm fielding a bit of a different list. As last time, felt that Blood Crushers just weren't doing anything, so I've just swapped my list around. So over here we have 6 Seekers, then there's Proxied, 5 Flamers of a Zinch. Then I have a unit of 30 Demonettes. This has my BSB Herald in. Then a Skull Cannon of Khorne, Keeper of Secrets, another Skull Cannon of Khorne. This is actually going to be an Exalted Seeker Chariot. Give that one of those a go. And then over here I have another unit of 30 Demonettes with a Caster Herald, a level 1. He's got the Withering, and he has Pit of Shade, Occam's Mind Razor, Enfeebling Foe, and Penumbral Conundrum.
Pendulum, isn't it?
What?
Penumbral Pendulum.
Penumbral Pendulum, that's the one. Yeah. Something like that. The cannon, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my army, and 2,500 on the nose. So I'm eager to see what they do. So yeah, like I said, like Ollie said, sorry, I'm going first. So we'll see you at the end of Daemons Turn 1. Okay, it's the end of Daemons Turn 1. As you can see, everyone moved up. I brought the Seekers around the back of the Mangler Squig. The Flamers moved up, as did everything else. Magic Phase, I rolled a 3. So it ended up being the Caster Herald being selected. I rolled a 9, which thankfully was enough because of his leadership. So I just about escaped losing my Herald, which would have been harsh because he's like 235 points. Then I tried to use him to cast the Withering on the Black Orcs and didn't roll enough. So that was the end of the Magic Phase. In the Shoot Phase, I shot and killed the Mangler Squig with the Flamers. I got 3 wounds, which was just enough. Then I tried shooting Ollie's Rock Lobbers. The first one misfired, rolled 1, blew up. Second one hit, and then rolled 1 for wounding. Well, I put that down to the fact that I had one of my old dice in my hand, and I rolled that instead, so it was bound to screw me over. Won't make that mistake again. Although probably next turn it'll blow up, because it seems Ollie and I at the moment aren't allowed to use cannons, as people will remember from his last game with the Empire. So yeah, it's my turn for that. And that was pretty much it. So yeah, that's one model apiece, and Ollie hasn't had a go yet, and Ollie's still winning because that model I lost was twice the one that he lost. So yeah, it is now on to Orcs and Goblins turn 1.
Okay, it's the end of Orcs and Goblins turn 1, and in the same vein as Si, my turn probably didn't go as well as it could have done, but it did go. So right, so charge-wise, there was nothing. Movement. At the start of the turn, my Night Goblins come on, and thus triggered the Fanatic into the Seekers. The Doom Diver and the other Spear Chucker came on, and then compulsory move. The Fanatic went into the Seekers, only did a single wound, but did actually kill it. Movement. The Chariots just moved around the building. These guys just moved around. Troll unfortunately failed its stupidity test and moved out of cover into line of sight of the flaming cannon, thus setting up the mother of all cannon shot, which is not so good. So these guys shuffled sideways just because they didn't want to be part of that. So that was pretty much it. And then the magic phase, I rolled 9 dice, managed to get off a vindictive glare from this guy, killing 3 demonettes. Then I attempted a headbutt, or headbutt, and so I dispelled it, which is fair enough because he didn't want his wizard to take one to the head from an orc. I don't know, it's not the greatest spell, but against a relatively low toughness guy who's as important as that guy, I thought it was definitely worth a punt, and it certainly drew out his dispel dice. I actually got a sneaky stealing off of him as well from the vindictive glare, which really helped my magic phase. I threw 5 dice at a foot. Unfortunately, I forgot to declare the big one, so I just got the little one off, and attempted to stomp these guys. Unfortunately, Gorp missed, so they didn't actually get hit. Then in the shooting phase, this rock lobber fired at his great demon, hit him, but then rolled a 1 to wound. This one fired at him and scattered on the Seeker Chariot, did 5 wounds to it, but so I saved it. This bolt thrower had a slipshod, and obviously this one and the Doom Diver couldn't fire, and that was it. So it's the end of Orcs and Goblins turn 1.
Right then, well, it seems Ollie and I are not only trying to see who can win the game, but see who can have the worst turn. So I think I'm beating him there because the Seeker Chariot charged into the Wolf Riders. I reformed this unit. I couldn't do anything. Well, not that I needed to, but I made the swift reform anyway, running boxcars and then an 11. So yeah, that was pretty bad. Everyone else moved up. I moved up to redirect the Gobos. Let me see. Then there was the Flamers moved into the building. Then in the magic phase, I rolled a 7. I got a channel. I failed to cast a big enfeebling foe on the Black Orcs, so I couldn't do anything with him. And then I got off the Withering on the Black Orcs as well with the level 1, but yeah, I dispelled it because I only just managed to cast it. So yeah, that was pretty terrible. Then in the shooting phase, I shot at the bolt thrower and put a wound on it, which then promptly gave it regeneration. So Ollie's made up. And then the cannon, just to prove its worth, shot the troll, hit it, then rolled a 1 to wound. So yeah, the pair of us are really not having a good time with artillery this game. And yeah, then in close combat, I wiped out the Wolf Riders, and then tested to see whether I overran, which I rolled an 11, and then thankfully rolled a 9 to hold it in check. Otherwise, that would have been bad times. So yeah, well, I didn't lose anyone. I don't think I killed anyone either. So not so particularly great second turn. So that was the end of Daemons and Chaos turn 2. So we'll now see you at the end of Orcs and Goblins turn 2.
Okay, it's the end of Orcs and Goblins turn 2. and a few things happened this turn. So the Night Goblins charged into the Seekers. The Black Orcs moved back a bit, as my usual tactic with Orcs is moving backwards. Very orky. Okay, and that was pretty much it for movement actually. Oh, the chariots moved around the barn. Yeah, and that was it. The Fanatic came back for a bit more. He's seeking revenge on the Night Goblins that released him. As he wound him up while they were off the board. And he's come back for revenge. Okay, so the magic phase, I rolled a double 1, which was a mixed blessing actually. I was a bit gutted because double 1's obviously not as good as double 6, but as it turned out, I got a pretty decent magic phase because I attempted to cast Vindictive Glare with this guy with 1 dice. Unfortunately, I rolled a 1 on the magic mushroom, so he took a wound. And then with the other 2, I threw them at Headbutt on his Herald. Needless to say, we both got a channel, by the way. So he now had 2 dice, so it's pretty much a straight dice off. And I actually won it, so I got the spell off. And because of the lore attribute, I got +1 strength. Although I actually rolled the wound anyway. I didn't roll a 5 or 6, didn't I?
You rolled a 4. So
4. No, I wouldn't wounded anyway. Yeah. But yeah, so the lore attribute was nearly beneficial. Yeah, so I got it off. I wounded him. He failed his save, and I actually did 2 wounds to him and killed him. So it was quite an expensive herald, and obviously they lose all strikes first now. So that very simple spell has actually done me well. So that's the first time I've ever used a spell that wasn't foot, hand, or here we go. And it's actually done something useful. So that was quite nice. So I think that's pretty big actually. Certainly makes that unit not quite as scary. Although they are still pretty nasty. So that was it for magic. Now the shooting phase, however, balanced it all out by I fired all 5 war machines at something or other, and all of them didn't do anything. They either hit and failed to wound, or just missed entirely. This rock lobber fired at these guys, thinking multiple wounds will really mess them up, but actually missed the building. Yeah, that's the building. Missed the building. And everything else fired at the greater demons, apart from that one, which fired at the cannon. Did actually hit it, but he passed his ward save, and all the other things just missed the demon entirely. So that was it. And then in close combat, I won the combat by about 6. Unfortunately, he was in range of his general and rolled just 1 above his leadership, so I only lost 1 guy, and thus holding up my entire goblin unit, which is a bit annoying. I was expecting to pop those in like 8 combat res, but it wasn't to be. So other than killing his herald, it was a pretty awful turn. So we'll have to see what happens in size turn 3.
Right, and a very bad turn 3 for Demons. Lots of charges. The Seeker Chariot and the Demonettes charged into the Black Orcs, and the Skull Cannon charged into the Bolt Thrower. Then basically the magic phase, I got 10, so that buffed my ward save to 4 up. However, it wasn't enough. Shooting amounted to nothing. Then what was it? Shooting amounted to nothing. Then in close combat, I managed to kill the Bolt Thrower. Then Ollie's ridiculous luck with those goblins, sickeningly ridiculous luck. I mean, 5 to hit, and he basically.
I killed 1.
Yeah, but no, you killed. Was it 1?
No, I killed 1.
No. Yeah. But still.
10 attacks to kill 1. Only suffers 3.
Yeah, but man, I don't like it when he gets friggin'. Well, actually, yeah, killed the average. Which reminds me, actually. Oh, no. Yeah, so that was pretty nasty. Lost. I mean, that was always happening. Static combat reds was just screwed him over. Unfortunately, I made a rather poor mistake. I should have charged that troll, although I wasn't actually confident I could take the troll. The magic phase, I should point out, I tried to cast. I tried to get some spells, but I rolled very, very low for the first one. Ollie was easily able to dispel it, and then I tried to miscast the knock'ems on these guys, which I didn't. And basically that that led to, well, this. I killed 8 Black Orcs in total, between, yeah, which is like 9, yeah, between about 500, well, a fifth of my army, and yeah, they just got slaughtered in the turn. So the chariot took like 6 wounds through instability. Basically, that's a lost combat. So it's not particularly good at all. And then they're staring a flank charge. So yeah, things are not going brilliantly at the moment. So yeah, I need to rejig, see what I can do. So yeah, it will be Goblins and Orcs turn 3 next.
Okay, it's the end of Orcs and Goblins turn 3, and relatively eventful. So I charged the Savages into the flank of the chariot. I charged the Goblin. In fact, they failed Animosity and decided to charge in themselves against the Demonettes. Troll failed at Stupidity and couldn't really stumble because he was as close to them as he could be. And that was pretty much it. All the chariots moved around. Then in the magic phase, I rolled a pitiful amount of dice. I think it was 5. I got Channel. Attempted to cast Vindictive Glare and actually ate a bad mushroom, killing my Goblin. And then I used the other 3 dice to try and cast a Hand of Gork, which I dispelled. That was just to move a chariot up closer. And that was it. So, and then in the shooting phase, between all my artillery, I did nothing. They all shot at something or other, mostly shot at this guy. Did actually take his Dark Blessing away from him with Doom Diver shot, and then everything else just missed. So artillery has done absolutely nothing this game, apart from taking off that Dark Blessing. Then in close combat, these guys actually won the combat. Did a wound to his Herald and won the combat by 3. So he actually popped 3 guys. So that was excellent. So very happy with that, considering they're unsupported. I was bricking it in case they lost, because they're only leadership 5 without a reroll at the moment. Now in this combat, it didn't go so well because obviously these guys charged the chariot died in initiative order, so it only got me 2 combat res, because obviously these are now out of combat. So it was something that we've never really been sure about. Doesn't appear to be any rules for that, because obviously clearing up big units like that, like through rules, is quite tricky. So they obviously left it a bit ambiguous, just to leave it up to you to decide what happens. But because they couldn't actually move the shortest distance possible, which does actually say in the book, because of this, then they couldn't actually rejoin the combat. So I lost the combat race from those. And so I decided to roll like a beast and actually kill another 13 Black Orcs. And I only killed a few of his in return, so I actually lost the combat. Because these were out of combat, we deemed that they wouldn't lose their frenzy, because they're not actually in the combat. But this guy does actually have the Crown of Command and the Standard of Discipline in there, so actually leadership 10 with a reroll, so they held. But yeah, it's not looking quite so good for these guys. And that was it. So that's the end of Orcs and Goblins turn 3.
Okay, it's the end of Daemons turn 4. Slightly better than it was last time. Feeling a bit brighter, a bit more chipper. The Skull Cannon charged into the Night Goblins. The Greater Demon moved around to avoid these buggers, and ended up doing pretty damn well. The magic phase, I got off an Occam's Mind Razor, nerfed their increased their strength up to a wonderful strength 9. Then with my last dice, I throw 6 at that, and I got 22. Didn't miscast. Ollie managed to roll 19 for his dispel. And then with my final dice, I needed 6, which I rolled, and then managed to reduce the strength of the Orcs by 2. Pretty much my only target. It was worth a punt, just in case they could have charged this turn, which I think they still can. So now they're only packing strength 3.
No, they can't charge this though, can they?
No.
Oh, you mean that?
Yeah. So that was quite nice. So yeah, not bad. I slaughtered the goblins, ran them down with the cannon, and then reformed these guys to face the chariots, and pretty good. So there is at least still a fight in there, which is nice. So yeah, it's on to Orcs and Goblins. Oh, sorry, should go over here. I managed to kill 3 Black Orcs and lost 4 Demonettes. Then passed my test. Well, sorry, failed my test by 1 and lost another. And then Ollie reformed to give himself a rank. So yeah, still doing pretty nicely, and yeah, it's. Not too bad. I've weakened the Black Orcs up quite nicely, so yeah, we'll see what turn 4 brings.
Okay, it's the end of Orcs and Goblins turn 4. The Savage Orcs reformed. The Goblin Chariot actually charged into these, which bear in mind they had Occam's Wine Razor on. It's probably the dumbest idea I've ever had, but I did it regardless. And that was pretty much it. Everything else stayed where it was, and these guys continued to slug it out with the Demonettes. In the magic phase, I had like 10 dice. So I cast a Foot of Gork on his general, and although I failed to wound him, I did actually hit him, but I failed to wound him. Then I cast a Headbutt on him, but did he fail to dispel it? No, I got it through, but I just failed to wound him with it. Then I cast a Hand of Gork on this chariot just to move it over here. And that was pretty much it for the magic phase. Then in the shooting phase, fired my Doom Diver at his general, missed him, or only got 1 but failed to wound him. The Rock Lobber failed to wound him, so that did actually hit. This fired at the cannon and did 2 wounds to it. And this one this one did fire at his general, hit it, wounded him, failed his ward save, did 5 wounds, killed him. So from being the most useless piece of artillery I've ever had to the best piece of artillery I've ever had. So yeah, that was nice. So I was not very happy about that, but you know, that's always what's going to happen with a Rock Lobber. It's going to miss for 3 turns solid. It's going to kill it. And then this one fired at the flamers in the tower. Because of the multiple wounds thing, did actually manage to kill 1 and do a wound to another one. But he passed his ward save on the 3rd one. So yeah, so these guys went from being most useless thing to actually having an excellent turn of killing his like 600 point general. So it's pretty good. And that was it. So then in close combat, these guys fought the Demonettes. Demonettes made a reasonably good account of themselves. And although they lost by a fair number, there was still 1 left, which is just enough to hold me up. And then these guys, needless to say, killed the chariot in very short order. In fact, the Herald killed the chariot on her own, and then just reformed. So it looks like it's going to be a dust-up between these two, because that's pretty much all that's left on the board. So that's the end of Orcs and Goblins turn 4.
Okay, it's the end of my turn 5 for Demons. And yeah, it's at an end, but I'll walk you through. The flamers wandered out of the building and shot at the ball chariot. Did it 2 wounds and gave it regen. The flaming skull cannon missed. The Demonettes charged into the savages, killed 6 of them. Lost combat by a lot, so leaving the Herald, and then my 1 remaining Demonette there died. So yeah, that was pretty much it. I knew it was game over as soon as my general died, but thought might as well play the last turn. Because to be fair, over there I've got 24 hits, and had I managed to jam an Occam's, then that would have been probably a bit of a different situation.
Yeah, like 20 wounds.
Yeah, but if I could have also jamly killed his lord with my herald, as wizard lord with my herald, then that would have knocked off one of his ward save. But yeah, fair enough. But yeah, that was a kind of bit of a hefty situation. I think yeah, it's quite a clear, severe victory for Ollie. So yeah, we'll get back to you with discussions.
Well, there we go. That was a pretty fun game, really. It's had all the ingredients that I like in a game, which are all the phases, something happening, and then a big old dust up in the middle, which is pretty much what we had. Both our hordes facing off against each other. I especially like it when my hordes beat his hordes. So let's see. I think up until that last turn, that's my last turn, it was pretty nail biting because I know that one unit of Demonettes with Occam's Mind Razor on can pretty much wipe out my entire army. So killing his general was pretty much the defining moment, I think. All down to this lowly rock lobber who's betrayed me several games now. So it's finally paid off. So it's justified his place in the army with that one shot. Well, that's always going to be the downside of a great demon, but you know that's the price you got to pay. Unfortunately, when playing demons, you have to take that risk. So an acceptable risk, bearing in mind he can take like 3 turns of artillery fire and still live. So his number was up finally. So overall in the game, I think tactics really paid off. I think most of my plan was actually based around the Goblins rolling a 1 to come on, because I knew that he was going to have to go this way, and I knew that I was going to put him on there to like hit him in the flank with them. Because once those were in the flank with the nets on, if I'd got a frontal charge with either of those units, it would have destroyed them. Especially as long as I can stop the Occams, of course, which is obviously the name of the game against this particular list. His Occams is how he beats me. Well, he can beat me anyway, but consistently beat me by casting Occams. So dispelling that Occams is vital. So really my overall plan was just to put both units under pressure, because you can only Occams one of them. But even then, in a straight fight, as the Black Orcs proved, even without Occams, those Demonettes are horrible. They can really put the hurt on. Even without a Herald, even not in horde formation, they can still reduce your numbers quite drastically. So overall, I just love how much damage these guys do. Although they went pretty much through the whole game without getting taking any wounds from anything. So they were at full strength when they did actually get to combat. And he was dwindled a bit. He lost a few guys, and he didn't have the magic support. So that was forlorn hope, sort of charging into those. But it's all he could do really. So overall, the unit-wise, well, there's a couple of things. I think the dumbest things I did in this game was actually charging the Wolf Chariot into those. I thought I'd just try and whittle them down. I expected it to die, but and of course it did. But I actually handed him a free reform, which was not so good, which allowed him to do that charge. So if I hadn't killed his general, that could have been a really bad move. So that was really dumb. And also charging these guys into the flank of the chariot was really stupid, because although it was handing me extra combat res, the chariot was obviously bound to die, and thus leaving these out of combat. Which does raise all kinds of questions, which I'm sure other people have encountered. Is once you're out of combat, is the combat res null and void in that? But as far as we could tell, you're not in the combat. There was no way to move the minimum distance possible, which it does actually mention in the rules, to join the combat. So as far as I can tell, they're not in the combat, and hence not losing frenzy either. So I don't know. So if anyone really knows about that, then please let us know. But as far as we know, we played it right. So overall the unit. So the savages did great, but it was just fighting a unit that had no magic support, so they were bound to win that, I'm afraid. Unfortunately for Sai. Black Orcs did pretty well actually. I'm loving the War Boss, the Crown of Command, or War Boss Chain Dog. He's never let me down so far with that Crown of Command. So he all seems to get in a fight and still come out victorious, even though he loses most of his men. But he's pretty good at doing that. So
there's always plenty more Black Orcs where they come from.
Yeah, man. The artillery, like I say, did absolutely nothing this game apart from killing his general, which pretty much balanced it out. So quite happy with that. I was a bit stupid with the mangle squig putting it there. I kind of forgot that flamers actually shoot. Obviously never encountering them before. I thought I'll put this mangle squig here because then I can't be shot by cannons, and then he'll be forced to put his seekers onto them just to kill them. But of course flamers actually shoot, so that was pretty dumb. So yeah, so that wasn't a very good idea. Troll did amazing. Like I say, I think Si made a pretty big mistake by not actually charging it on that turn, which pretty much cost him quite badly. But I think he has a psychological problem with trolls. He's pretty scared of them. In the past they've messed him up. I think he still thinks they're Warriors of Chaos trolls, who are deadly. Even if you charge them with whatever, they will still kick his ass. So this troll sitting there drooling, failing stupidity tests, once again owned him like he's owned so many ogres before. So yeah, the troll did pretty well. The chariots, their little flanking manoeuvre didn't really pay off, but it put him under pressure for his greater demon to move him around. There was one point here where he could have moved his demon up to cast Occams on these guys to finally mop up the Black Orcs, but chose not to because the chariots were too much of a threat. So the chariots did their job, even though I threw one of them away. And yeah, so pretty much just a really good game. I was really glad that the only miscast I did actually got it. Failed to only wounded one savage and he passed his ward save. So one miscast I got off lightly, so very happy with that. It's nothing more annoying when my Savage Orc Shaman dies, which I don't really mind, but it's when he dies and kills half the unit that kind of bothers me. Yeah, so yeah, good game. I really enjoyed that. I'm really glad my Orcs managed to beat these Daemons, because the last game I had was pitiful. He absolutely kicked my ass, so clawed that one back. As you can see, I'm starting to paint these Savages now, although I'd started some time ago. I'm actually painting a few more. Planning to get this army painted. Obviously I've got a lot of unpainted armies, so trying to focus on this one. And then I was painting Grey Knights at the moment. You obviously don't see those very often, but I decided just to try and paint them quickly, hence why I haven't really painted any of my fantasy stuff. Which is a shame really, because I've spent all that time painting them, but I have no real compulsion to play 40k at the moment. It's just not as good as Warhammer in my opinion. But yeah, anyway. I'm sure many of the people watching this channel are probably into Warhammer a bit more anyway, so I don't think I'll offend too many people with that comment. But yeah, so focusing on the Orcs at the moment. So and I'm glad I could get a win with them, because it'd be nothing worse than painting an entire army than losing with it constantly. Speaking of which, I'll hand you over to Si.
Yeah, that was a very good game. It was nail biting, like Ollie says, up until he managed to score me general. To be fair, yeah, I mean that was pretty inevitable anyway. The main trouble being is that it's with rock lobbers and the Doom Diver, it's really impossible to hide him behind a barn, because obviously they can still hit rather nicely with that. So yeah, that was the main driving force as to actually make my general actually come out. And also because of the way the deployment was, I couldn't really take maximal advantage of the barn anyway, to block line of sight. So yeah, it was a little bit of a pain. I suppose I could have stuck him around there, but I didn't want to take the risk of getting anywhere near the Mangler Squig, because obviously had I failed to shoot it, that Mangler Squig would have been Leroying it straight towards the general at the first given opportunity. So yeah, that was it was a bit of a tough one. I think what I should have done, deployment wise, was given myself more space. I was a bit too keen to get into his face, and as I should have realised, Ollie plays the most un-orky Orcs ever. There's the Orcs with tactics. They do such un-orky things as moving backwards, which is normally Goblins. Although the Goblins did play an absolutely beautiful.
The Goblins are quite aggressive this game, weren't they?
Well, Goblins basically did what Good Night Goblin does: is he come on, looked around, saw there was a juicy flank, and fucking had it.
Yeah, I didn't actually mention it, but I think my man of the match is the Goblins, because they did really well.
The Goblins were excellent.
And they even got wounded on that Herald as well.
Yeah, the Goblins were really good, and like I said, had he managed to dispel that Occam's Mind Razor, that would have been bad. That would have held them up a lot. And I suspect that they might still have been locked into combat, which obviously then would have been bad because over there those guys coming in would have smashed them up. But I think the first two rounds of the game were punctuated with some bad luck. The cannons doing nothing with the shooting was pretty terrible. I mean, the plan was basically to try and keep the greater demon away from as much of the shooting from the bolt throwers as I could, and then take out the two rock lobbers first, and then work on the doom diver after that. And then basically I would have used. I was going to try and get the seekers round to then finish off the bolt throwers. But the main trouble was that the goblins came in, forcing me to have to try and redirect them for a turn. So I lost my ability to take out the chaff. I think in this army, I quite like the two units, but I think I could do with some more. I need some more chaff in there because
that's true. You didn't have any beasts this time.
No, I think beast of Nurgle would have been more useful because I could have used the beast to sort of maybe try and tie up a troll or go hunt your artillery or something like that. Yeah. So I feel I kind of lost out there. I mean, yeah, it was a shame. Losing the Herald to an headbutt was nasty, but those things happen because losing always strikes first was pretty major, and then the not being able to get Occam's off when I really needed it. But yeah, like Ollie says, it's still pretty impressive to see what they did. I mean, that was a 40 strong unit of Black Orcs, and yeah, they're about 15 guys, 12, 15 guys, yeah.
Yeah, it was 12.
12 guys and the general. So yeah.
So that's 38 of the full boss.
Yeah, so that's not a bad casualty account. They accounted for themselves pretty well, considering that unit was 350 points without the Herald. So yeah, it's not bad. Over here, yeah, well. Suffered the lack of Occams as well. I just couldn't put the damage out that I needed to. The 5-up ward save also hurts pretty bad there, which is also exacerbated by the fact that Ollie's really good at making 5-up ward saves when I'm losing. His ability to make war saves like that increases exponentially the more I'm losing. When I start winning, then he could make a bloody 2-up ward save to save his life. But yeah, over here, those chariots were a pretty nasty distraction. Like Ollie said, it prevented me from mopping up. So there was no real way I could get my guy out of the rain, the arc of the chariot. So it was a little disappointing. Like I said, with the deployment, it needed a little more thought, and obviously because I was deploying first, I mean those chariots could be placed anywhere to optimise sort of what was going on. That's the benefit of deploying second, is that you get to reactively deploy. So yeah, it's I think in short, I think I should have thought about my deployment a little more. I was a bit too keen to deploy put on my deployment line. I think I probably should have taken a similar tack to what Ollie did and actually sat back, because I think I would have forced him to move forward if I managed to get his two rock lobbers and then start working on the Doom Diver. It would have forced him to actually come to me. I think more than being forced to go to him. I think that's usually the better tactic, because if you can force your opponent to come at you as quick as possible.
And plus, I was a bit surprised, but you didn't actually cast Pit of Shades at all, did you?
No. Well, that comes on to the pretty pathetic magic phases I got, because I got very low magic phases at the start. I could have done a couple of reasonable ones to Pit of Shade. There's also the the way my general was deployed, he was out of range of quite a lot of stuff earlier on. So I could have done with a couple of pit of shades in turn 1 and 2, say on the Black Orcs to whip them down, and then probably that situation over there would have been a lot better.
Yeah.
Because
So I do think there was one phase in particular. You didn't roll that high, but you attempted to cast 2 debuffs on this unit when it just made no difference.
Yeah.
That was a wasted magic phase.
Yeah, I kind of, what I wanted was, I wanted one and then the other, and I think I should have. I think in retrospect, when picking, I made a bit of a mistake. I should have taken Miasma, and then I should have done the Miasma.
Yeah, I think
Shades
Miasma
combo.
would have been so much better because you could have taken him on the Herald. Because like I said, you roll the level 4 first, and then it's just taking the Miasma on the other one because you had the spells you needed.
Yeah. So that's kind of the way it is. I quite like the list. I'm going to have a bit of a tinkle with it and see how it goes. And I'm going to play this for a bit, and then I'm going to experiment with an Epidemus tally list at some point. So I'm liking Slaanesh at the moment. Thinking up some colour schemes. I'm not particularly fond of games which looks grey and pink.
Yeah, it looks a bit watered down. It's a bit wishy-washy.
Yeah, it just doesn't jump at me. However, I've seen a pretty awesome colour scheme by Jarhead on Cool Mini or Not. He's got the Massive Voodoo blog. He's an excellent painter, and he's done some demonettes, and they're kind of turquoise with like real nice sort of red to bright yellow kind of claws.
Oh, right.
So I quite like the idea of that. So yeah, I think you might see me go with that colour scheme, because like you bang it out, nice turquoise, blue wash, and then a quick dry brush for some highlights, and you could knock up 30 demonettes pretty damn quickly, which I quite like the idea of. And yeah, so I think what I'm going to do is I need to actually cut some of those bloody models out. I was a bit of an idiot. I lost my knife, my hobby knife. God only knows where that is. I mean, it's amongst the amongst all the junk piles that you can see here. So and basically my bedroom.
Here's junk piles.
Yeah, there yes, there. Ollie's are significantly smaller, but yeah, basically what you saw there is nothing compared to my bedroom. There's Papa Nurgle probably hiding in a corner with the horned rat somewhere in my room. So yeah, I will. I have some stuff coming. Got some random spare cash, so going to invest in a few more demons. I think I'm probably going to pick up the Herald. I'm going to pick up the Slaaneshi Herald. I rather like her. I can build a Cornate Herald because I get one in the Skull Cannon, and I think I'm going to buy another Skull Cannon as well. So I have the 2 cannon models, and and I'll see whether I can squeeze some more demonettes in there as well if I get from Triple Helix. They're always really good, pretty cheap, free postage over a certain amount. So yeah. Now get into that. So, but I'm really loving Daemons at the moment. They're really good fun. I really enjoyed that game. I think Muppet of the match for me, probably me actually, for poor deployment and a few dodgy mistakes. I think what the army as a whole. Actually, or if I had to nominate a model, it's the bloody cannon that blew itself up. Probably man of the match, I'd say, were the demonettes there who. Completely unaided, just naked demonettes went in.
What's the verdict on that chariot though?
Yes, the Seeker Chariot. Now, yeah, I'm a bit drawn because 220 points is for a chariot. Now it can put out a lot of attacks, and
it's got one big caboose though.
Yeah. You did mention that obviously if you put Occams on it, it's going to be a rape train. But you put Occams on bloody anything and it's a rape train. but I don't need to. I don't think I need to be paying 25 points. Now, the smaller version of the chariot, which is only 110 points. Admittedly, it doesn't do quite the damage, but it's still moderate enough that it makes it a flanker. So that's 220 points for me to have a think about it. I like the flamers. They're all I've got really in terms of chaff killing ability. So I might not.
Plus, you actually have models though.
Yes, I do. Yeah, I have to dig them out. Courtesy of epic eBay find from Ollie last year. So yeah, I need to have a bit more of a think. I'm not so fond of that big chariot. I think it's too big, too unwieldy. I know it's got a lovely charge range. 3d6 plus. So the best two dice are 3d6 plus 10 for a charge, which is that's about as well. It is as good as it's going to get in Warhammer.
I think it's caught off guard.
It's buggered, It's got 8 wounds, and so it can take a cannon or two if you're lucky.
Given the choice of that or plague drones, who pretty much have the same charge range. Rather, I mean, they don't do as much damage, of course, but
yeah,
they look a lot cooler and they're a lot cheaper.
They do, yeah.
Well, no, not cheaper, but.
Yeah, I'm still thinking about the plague drones.
I think the core of your army is good. It's just the support units you need to jiggle around with.
So yeah, I shall have a fiddle around with that, and like I say, I'm going to run a tally list, and come on, man, you can't not take plague drones in a tally list. I mean, they've got to be in there. So I shall probably end up getting some at some point. But yeah, for the time being, they might be a little absent. But yeah, so I'll have to have a think while mashing buttons on Star Wars, and yeah, we'll get back to you next week for the next game.